everyone, it's Lauren. In this video, want to talk a little bit more about my book, Lipstick and Autism, and I want to show it to you guys. I want to show you some of the content of it. Now, so its title is Lipstick and Autism, Not All Days Are Rosy and Pink. And there's my name up there, which is me, the author. I wrote it by myself. So I will read the back side of it. And it says, autism is the fastest growing and most common developmental disorder. Imagine the frustration and anxiety overtaking your child to a team of medical specialists to be told that they have a lifelong and often debilitating developmental disorder with no cure and limited treatment options. Lauren's parents knew something was different about her from the time she was an infant, but as she entered kindergarten in the fall of 1986, her differences were very obvious to everyone around her as compared to other children her age. A few months later, in early 1987, Lauren's parents took her to see a team of pediatric specialists, and it was then confirmed that she had an incurable and lifelong disorder, then known as pervasive developmental disorder, and was later diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when it was listed in diagnostic criteria. Today, that would be known as autism spectrum disorder, classified as level 1 to 3 based on the type and severity of the disorder. Like so many other parents with special needs children, Lauren's parents faced many trials and tribulations with treatment options, including health costs, limited yet very expensive treatment options that did not always work, and dealing with people who oftentimes misunderstood Lauren. And Lauren was a young child growing up in the 1980s and 90s in a rural area in eastern Kentucky. Little was known about the autism spectrum in general, let alone the high-functioning form of the disorder that Lauren has. Because of this, Lauren often felt stigmatized for her condition. In addition to feeling isolated and alone, like many others with autism spectrum disorders, Lauren has faced her share of challenging symptoms, and in this book she shares her personal experience with high-functioning autism and how it has impacted her life. In this memoir book, written by Lauren firsthand about her entire life, she explains what it was like to live with autism spectrum disorder from a personal perspective, and hopes to also educate others about the condition and erase the stigma associated with the disorder. This is the publisher, and there's its ISBN number. And for those of you that have not yet purchased a copy of it, both books are available on Amazon and through my website. And here is its information, but there it is. Oh gosh, trying to let you show it. It's kind of hard to do this with a phone instead of a camera and having my phone just video me. Here's its copyright page. It was published in 2023, 2 years ago. And here's its contents, dedication page, and important stuff. For privacy and protection, I had to change the names as needed. And it tells you in here, don't use information in this book as a substitute for medical or psychological advice. So here is the memoir section of it and pictures of me. And, you know, it includes scripture. And from its memoir section, I started off with my 40th birthday and then went backwards, like to when the time I was born, and described everything in as much detail as possible and try to make it appealing for non-autistics and non-medical providers to make more awareness about autism and help people to understand it. Don't buy it on hardback because it's a lot more expensive. I would strongly buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble if you buy it online. At the end of the video, I will link my website so you can just get more information. You can buy it from my website. I get more money that way, but it takes a lot longer for the customer to get it than what it would if you would purchase it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. So anyway, in the back of this book, I included a section of tips and basics about the spectrum. So If you don't care, I am going to read this for you guys. It's a section of it. I have come up with a term that I have described as behavior shaming. Behavior shaming refers to a person whose actions and feelings are out of the norm for a particular society or situation. We live in a society that often shames people for how they act or how they look. The term for judging someone who is too fat or too skinny is called body shaming. It is considered rude if we tell someone that they look too fat or too thin. Most people do not get into trouble for judging a child or an adult with autism for having a meltdown, and I feel like this is discrimination. Behavior shaming, based on my personal experience, does not work for disciplining a person with any form of autism. It always made me feel worse about myself, and feeling bad about myself worsened or caused meltdowns. I have observed that people on the autism spectrum tend to be judged unmercifully as compared to those with other conditions. Ableism is common amongst people with any form of autism, and I have experienced it at many points in my life. Autistic children from wealthy families are often viewed as spoiled rotten when they have a meltdown, and kids from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are viewed as abused or neglected by their parents. Blessed is the person who keeps on going when times are hard. After they have gone through hard times, this person will receive a crown. The crown is life itself. The Lord has promised it to those who love him. James 1:12 NIRV. Although high-functioning autism has a list of symptoms and certain criteria have to be met to get a diagnosis, the disorder affects each person differently. Some people may have all of the symptoms and some may only have a few of the symptoms. Some people may be affected by certain symptoms worse than others. Autism also shares some of the same traits as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and Tourette syndrome. These disorders are also comorbid disorders of autism. Some of the most successful people on the planet were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder or suspected to have it. Some examples include Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, Elon Musk, the creator of Tesla, Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. We know Apple in this case does not mean fruit, it means iPhones. This is a phrase from Temple Grandin that I would like to use, and she is right. If we didn't have autism, we would still be living in caves. Temple Grandin. Here is a phrase I made up myself about autistic people. If we didn't have autism, we would not have iPhones. My quote. Lacey told me one day after one of my many speeches at our local autism walk that I was the pioneer of high-functioning autism for our area. Lacey has told me in times past that she thought I had high-functioning autism for a reason, and that she genuinely hated it for me that I had to suffer from this disorder. If you feel that you or a loved one has an autism spectrum disorder, please seek advice from a qualified medical or psychological provider and work with them to find the best treatment plan for you or your child/spouse. The goal of any treatment plan for autism spectrum disorders should be to help the person to be more functional, not to make them more socially acceptable. The goal of this book was to teach others about what I learned based on my experiences with autism spectrum disorder and how to supplement other therapies in addition to traditional medical or psychological treatment. And here is the glossary of resources that I've used. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.